Well, welcome everybody. I'm George. This is Barley and Hops, the channel that dares to unlock the mysteries of home distilling. We will share with you anything and everything that we possibly can. Now, today's video is very, very good, very important. We have an announcement on our live stream. Our live stream will take place, and I will keep folks notified. Will be next Friday, the 13th of March at 6 p.m. Central Time. That is 7 Eastern. Yes. And we'll have some definite good times there. We'll do some questions and answers. I've got some topics. And most of that is from the subscriber population that we've been communicating with, that I send out on the channel notification. And if you're a subscriber and you've hit the notification bell, you should have been getting these emails or these notifications requesting some of your topics and suggested topics. And we're going to cover a bunch of those. Yes. And we also got some great giveaways that are going on. So please tune in next Friday, 13 March, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's Texas time, or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More and more and more to follow. Now we're going to get right into what we're here for. Besides that, that is a very, very important date for us. It'll be our very first one. And I must say that, yep, a little bit nervous about that because you can't edit those. Not that I do a lot of editing anyway, but every once in a while it's necessary. Okay, I'm filling the barrels. And I needed to share this with you. I've got one full already complete. But filling barrels, this should be a simple process. I've had questions about it, and they're valuable questions. I know it's not the act of just pouring it in and filling the barrels that you need to know about, because that's the simple thing. I mean, it's just sort of like pouring from one container into another. But there are some aspects about the barrel itself that we do need to be aware of. And that is, if you've had it sitting for quite a while, like some of my barrels that have been empty, they leak. And they will leak profusely. So remember, there are no glued joints in here. This is totally held together by these bands. And it's the act of the wood swelling that seals those. So you put them in the sink just like it is. Take the top off. Fill it with hot water. Put the top back on. Now that's going to cause a slight vacuum on the inside, where even if it's got cracks in it, it won't leak a lot. It'll leak a little bit. And that will allow that water to sit in there and soak into the wood, and the wood will spread. It will start to soak up, and it will seal all of those cracks. Now, you'll know it's sealed when you take the top off and allow the atmosphere in and just let it sit there and you see no leaking. Then you know the barrel is sealed. Because remember that ethanol is a lot thinner and lighter than water. So if water will leak through this, ethanol will shoot through it like something through a goose. You know what I'm talking about. So just make sure you get it nice and sealed. Now before using it though, once you get it sealed, turn it over, empty it out. And now if you haven't used it for a while, let's do a real quick clean. A simple mixture of warm water about halfway with some potassium metabisulfite. And what's that? That's a sterilizer for your yeast. You've got that laying around probably. And why are we doing that in here? It's just in the off chance that you've got a yeast that snuck in there somewhere, and you've got some of those flavors and maybe a residual sugar molecule or something that they'll attach themselves to and start to populate and eat. So you don't want that to happen. That and citric acid. You want to lower the pH dramatically. So about a half an ounce of citric acid. Slosh that around, let it sit for a couple of minutes, dump it out, rinse it about 3 times, you're ready, okay? And that's just cleaning. Now, there's no need to clean a barrel each and every time. If I'm running my shine, this, which has already been pre-aged, remember, about 3 days with oak chips, and I'm running it through here, and it starts to get low and I want to refill it, just refill it. There's no need to empty it and clean it. Just keep refilling it and refilling it, refilling it. If it goes dry or you get the last out of it, just refill it. But after several months of going through that process, it might not be a bad idea to open it up and clean it out. Now, How long will a barrel last, you ask? Yes, a barrel will last for quite a while if you take care of it. Now, you know those very thick barrels, and I'm talking about the ones that are like almost an inch thick, huge casks. Those can last anywhere from 8 to 9 years with use, continuous use, before you have to start doing something to them. These barrels, which are more, I don't want to call them novelty barrels, and I'm just transferring this so it's easier to move. But they're on a smaller scale. And these are really great for just having around. This is a 3-liter barrel. These are a lot thinner. And with being a little bit thinner, they are also a bit less expensive. These run anywhere into the $40 to $60 range, and they will last you before you have to even consider recharring them from start to finish about 6 iterations before you've kind of depleted everything that it's got to offer, from the char. And then you can bust it open and rechar it, clean it, scrape it, rechar it, and go through it again. But at that point, I'd offer, make a clock out of it, make a paperweight. I mean, get you another one. They're not that expensive. Now, if you're talking, if you've got one of those really huge ones, a 20-liter or 20-gallon barrel, it's made from a Cooper up in the Northeast, is going to run you like $300. And that's a pretty substantial investment. So, yeah, you may want to open that up and rechar that and get as much use out of it as you possibly can. Plus, the thickness of the wood is such that there's a whole lot there. So, I'd say after about 5, 6 runs through this thing, I've got barrels sitting aside now that, I'm going to make a couple of clocks out of them. I'll put a clock face on them. Other people have different ideas. Every once in a while I toss one. Now, this thing holds 3 liters, and the way barrels are measured is what they displace, because the barrel sizes were designed for shipping, and a shipping space is based on displacement. So these will displace 3 liters of water, so they'll hold a little bit less than 3 liters of liquid, which is still going to be a full half-gallon plus some. And we're just going to get right into it here. Once I get this full, we'll come back and talk a little more. Well, I've got 2 of these barrels completely full. I've got one more to work on. I'll get to that one in just a little while. At this point, the only thing left to do is just to let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes. You'll get a very clear indication on whether it is completely sealed or not. And if it's not, don't fret. All you have to do is watch underneath the bottom of it, and this one had a drop or 2 show up, but I think that's because it spilled across the top. I'll let that finish, but the one back here, you'll notice I have no drops underneath it, so I know that one's sealed completely. This one I have pretty much confidence in, but if it leaks, that's okay. You can get you a little bit of candle wax on your finger, warm candle wax. Not hot where it's liquid, it's where it's like a paste. So you have to dance with it back and forth and get it right, and then just kind of rub it across wherever you feel the leak. And that will usually arrest that leak. So candle wax, just not scented, just the regular stuff, okay? And that will do that. So I'll leave that set. Yeah, I still see no drops. I'll just leave that set for a few minutes. You'll notice my fermenters back here. They're just about ready, so you know what that means. Yeah, we're going to do another run. We may be able to do another run before the live stream. Yes, on March the 13th at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be right here answering your questions and covering topics that the community has already asked for. I've got my mini brew 8-gallon fermenter, and you'll notice that's still fermenting slowly. It's on the back end. It's on the very, very end. I checked the gravity this morning. I'm at 1.015, which brings me right down to close to the edge of success. And I've got the other 2 sitting next to it, and they're at the same level. So we're waiting on that. Now, a quick story. I came in here probably 5 days ago. And that's after I did the video and we did that. That was George's favorite sugar wash. And I came in the next morning and I smelled ass. Now, I didn't smell 2 asses, but I did smell a little bit of ass. You know what that tell me? What? You know. Yeah. It was a little bit warm. Yeah, my fermenters were just a little bit too warm. As a matter of fact, it was 1. And that was the one that I put that new element, that new heater in. The calibration on that is evidently off. So it was fermenting at too high of a temperature, and it was starting to put off that odor. So what I did was I reduced the temperature and allowed it to set, and all of that disappeared, and it's been a sweet aroma and a wonderful thing ever since then. So make sure you're paying attention to that. If you get that off odor, it's, like I said, it's more than likely you're fermenting at too high of a temperature. So let's address that as soon as we possibly can. That will not ruin your batch. Oh, by the way, that if you leave it for too many days, it's kind of hard to get that odor and smell out of the base product itself. But if you arrest it early, you can recover from that. Okay, let's see. We've got no leaks. So yes, that brings us to a close. I've got 2, got 1 more left to do. Oh, notice, there are some viewers that, please don't be confused. You don't have to, I know I always say, please subscribe, share us with your friends. Once you've subscribed, you're done. You've subscribed. Because if you go to the next video and hit subscribe, that actually you unsubscribe. Yeah, and then you go to the next video and subscribe, then now you're resubscribed. You follow me? So you're dancing back and forth, and that's not necessary. Subscribe once. When you do subscribe, the icon clicks up, the notification, it's a bell. If you click that, it'll ask you for your information, your email address, and things like that, so we can notify you when a video comes out. Now, please don't hold me responsible if YouTube fails to notify you. There are some issues with that, evidently, but it is a free service offered by YouTube, and it's kind of hard to complain about a free service. And oh, by the way, there's no one at YouTube you can talk to, so work with me, all right? Until next time, happy distilling.